Professor Milk, oh. Hello class. First off, I'd like to discuss with you guys the paradox between people losing solo queue games and the League of Legends EP syndrome. Now first, we have people losing games, and in turn, losing LP. They blame themselves, blame their team or jungler, uninstall the game, but sooner or later, pick the needle back up and re-download that sweet sauce. It's a vicious cycle of non-stop perma-tilting. See, but what causes the paradox is that these same people refuse to play champions that win games for free. Cho'Gath, Annie, Katarina, Malzahar, Victor, AP Kog'Maw, etc. Let's take a second to talk about League of Legends EP syndrome. You may have heard of it. People not only want to win, they want to come off as some mysterious League of Legends Christ that no one has ever heard about, causing them to play champs like Faker, Lee Sin, Gosu, Jace, etc. What I'm gonna do with this guide is show you how you can be that top-of-the-line mysterious Zed player imported to your region, having massive impact on the game without having to deal with all that mechanical skill. Thank you for joining me in Demystifying Zed. I'm Professor Milk. Let's get started. First things first, if you're going to play Zed, my recommendation is to go to your graphical settings and enable shadows. Without this, not only will it be hard for you to fully understand his abilities, it will also cause you to have to use your memory a lot more than you should when using his ultimate. Now let me give you the rundown of Zed's abilities. Q. Gillette Razor. It cuts closer and if you're skilled, never misses. We'll go into this ability more further into the guide because once you hit late game, you'll no longer need this spell. E. Sinister Steel. Zed pirouettes, swinging his blades in a circle. It doesn't interrupt your auto attack, making it amazing for proccing Sheen. W. Living Shadow. Zed throws out a clone that copies all the content that Zed produces, down to his impeccable comedic timing and text animation. The clone takes the original content and tweaks it just enough to claim it as his own by adding a slow to his E, even though Zed himself is actually doing 95% of the creative process. As you can see, the clone cannot move. So even though it's trying its best to leech off of Zed's ideas, it'll never be able to go anywhere with it. It can't even throw the Gillette Fusion Pro Glide razors from his slimy, thievish hands. R. Zed's ultimate ability, Deathmark. Another Zed clone that tries to emulate an already held position in the checkerboard of the internet. One spot per internet, folks. As you use your ultimate, you become untargetable, letting you make some pretty cool plays that you can definitely put into your Gold 3 Zed montage. All damage dealt during Zed's ultimate will pop like a cherry after 5 seconds. If the pop is fatal, you will see shurikens over their head. When this happens, I highly suggest standing still or recalling, because I once saw Faker do it on his stream. It's proper Zediquette. Zed's passive, condoms are for the weak. If a target is below 50% health, Zed's next basic attack does 30% max HP as outplay damage. When making your Gold 3 Zed montage, make sure to get this auto off because it looks really cool in slow motion. Another tip is with Zed's ultimate. If you have the mathematical skill and can throw Qs at your target in an Illuminati fashion, it does much, much more damage. Now let me get to the point of this video. To make a highly mechanical champion that is Zed extremely easy to play, here are some builds that Zed players use to lose elo. The classic, team fighting, split pushing, completely balanced echo, and if you want to climb elo, the milk build. If you don't know where this build is going or you're unable to see its synergy, I'll let some professional League of Legends players break it down for you. This is Wise Words from the Pros. Our first guest is a self-proclaimed man with 200 IQ, proved himself as the best Zed NA, and ended Season 4 at rank 2 on the North American solo queue ladder, securing his spot as almost the best player in the shittiest region, the notorious CLG Pobelter. At a whopping 100 non-refundable dollars per question, we ask him,
"Hello POB, I'm looking to you for some advice. Can you review my Zed build and give me some insight on how I can improve it? I.e. PD, Last Whisper, Triforce, CDR boots."
He responds,
My first tip for you is remember that you are playing Zed and not an AD champion like Caitlyn or some shit. That just looks like an AD build, like a marksman build. I don't know. Like, I think it's universally agreed that the best Zed build is just Bork into Ghostblade into Last Whisper, and then from there you branch out. You can go IE or BT, or if you want defense you can go Sash or GA or Banshees even. But yeah, IE, PD, Triforce, maybe not the best build.
If that doesn't scream 200 IQ, I don't know what does. I mean, maybe he won Best ZNA because he's the best Zed, or maybe because I never entered the tournament. I guess we'll never be able to find that out. But what remains is a guest I like much more. A man who's willing to risk it all to discover the new builds and methods to playing League of Legends. A mid laner trapped in a top laner's body. The only person that thinks Akali and Katarina are hard to play. The god himself, Voyboy. At $4 per question, we ask him,
"Hey Akali, I'm trying to get better at Zed, and I know you offer tips and tricks to your fans and viewers. What do you think of my build so far? IE, PD, PD, Last Whisper, Triforce."
He responds,
IE, PD, PD, Last Whisper, Triforce with CR boots on Zed. I actually kind of like that, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. I would always get, like, one of my variations on Zed was to get a PD as like a late pickup. You know how everyone has like Ghostblade and they go like fucking Mercurial Scimitar and stuff? I would go like an IE Ghostblade build, and I'd finish out my build by selling my boots for PD. So I definitely really like the crit potential that you have there. You're gonna have a 100% crit chance, so that's pretty beast. And then you're gonna be critting off your Triforce procs as well. So you're gonna have that 100% crit chance. That is awesome. You're not gonna have too much benefit from the 80 scaling on Zed's passive, but to be honest, if you're critting every hit, that's probably gonna be cool as fuck. So I like it, man. Rock that shit.
Here we go. A few things to note about his interview. You can sense his experience. He immediately recognizes the 100% crit chance from the 4 items, and understands the potential damage from it during his ult. This guy's more of a genius than I thought he was earlier. I might have to use him again. Now, while the Voister of Knowledge fills in most of the gaps, let me help you understand the full power of this build. What neither pro touched on were runes and masteries. For masteries, just run a standard 80 caster page. For runes, in most of my guides, they were almost optional, but for this guide, they are mandatory. For quints, yellows, and reds, you will be running % crit damage, which will add up to 41% extra crit damage and stack with Infinity Edge. For blues, you will run scaling CDR, which at level 18 gives you 35% altogether, with your only CDR item as Boots of Lucidity. More ults, more one-shotting. You probably already understand why we won't be using your Q, because while you're queuing, you can't crit. Since at level 16, your ult pops for 50% of the damage you deal. As long as you crit them for more than half their HP, they'll die. For any AD carry or non-tank champion, this is only one auto. After this one auto, you can then switch targets, saving you time, or stand there watching them squirm. This build does take a bit of time to get going, because you need the full build to be strong. To compensate for your weak early game, you're going to want to rush Triforce, Last Whisper, and CDR boots. Next, you'll want to outscale everyone by buying IE and then 2 Phantom Dancers. This build's lack of lifesteal is fine, because Doran's Blade will sustain you through the early to mid game. And late game, you don't need sustain when you're one-shotting everyone. With this build, QSS does not matter. Don't waste time learning a champ that has a high skill ceiling. Just buy crit damage runes, shave close, and don't wear condoms. Godspeed. Professor Milk. Oh.